It's this. The WNBA's whole future shifted at that moment, and very few people anticipated it. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver participated in what appeared to be a routine interview with NBC News. The subject was the ongoing CBA talks between the WNBA's owners and its players, but he unleashed a bombshell with one well-crafted remark that rocked the league and compelled the players' union to openly declare war. His remarks were so illuminating that they revealed the true, harsh reason why these talks are about to break down. You'll see why there's a good probability we're witnessing the WNBA's last years by the end of this. This isn't overstated. This explains how a league can be destroyed by its own achievements. It all revolves around a single statement. Let's hear it out. According to Silver, I think share isn't the right way to look at it. Have you noticed that? It is incorrect to think of it as a share. Although it appears to be a straightforward negotiation issue, it was actually a declaration of war. The players' union, the WNBA, erupted right away. They responded on Instagram with a now famous post that just said, "Don't want to share Adam Silver," along with the question mark. They were angrily and publicly criticizing him. They had taken off their gloves. It's not even the owners, the players. So the players get 50% in way. Where does the rest of the money go? And this is revenue, not profit, not 50% of profits. They want 50% of revenue. So the WNBA costs, let's just make the maths easy. Let's just say it costs 100 million to run the WNBA. It doesn't, it costs way more. Wait, take it. This is the portion that will cause you mental distress, though. Adam Silver was correct. You must examine the maths that the union does not want you to concentrate on in order to see why. Consider the psychology at that precise moment. For the players, fairness and cooperation are associated with the phrase share. The idea is that you are guaranteed a piece of pie if you assist in baking it. However, Adam Silver is not only rejecting a number when he rejects that very idea. He is rejecting their value premise in its entirety. He is telling them straight out that their company is not and will never be the same as the NBA's. The players instantly went on the defensive as a result, turning the conflict from a financial one into an emotional one. That benefit from the league not existing. There are players that benefit from the league not existing. And by the way, we know these players that are in the PA have basically diplomatic immunity from getting fired. If a rival goes 5v5, they're going to make a little more money. But one who's not going to make more money. The union's social media team's retaliation went beyond simple retaliation. It served as a warning to their members that they were retaliating against disrespect. However, posting on Instagram is like taking a knife to a gunfight in a high-stakes world of billion-dollar negotiations. All structural control and financial data are held by the league. The union possesses a volatile and brittle weapon in the form of public emotion. The tone for everything that came next was established by this one exchange. The league's very survival is now the negotiating chip in this brutal conflict between ideals and pragmatism. The NBA's revenue share model, in which players receive around half of all league earnings, is what the players are requesting. It seems reasonable, doesn't it? Since you make the money, you ought to receive half of it. However, this is the point at which the entire argument collapses. Let's use basic numbers to break it down. Assume that the WNBA's total revenue is $100 million. Imagine now that the league's actual operating expenditures are $100 million. Employee pay, travel expenses, arena fees, marketing, and more. The players would receive $50 million directly if they were to keep 50% of the earnings. What's left for the owners, though? $50 million to pay for $100 million in costs. This implies that each and every owner would undoubtedly lose $50 million. Even that, we are seeing this type of thing. And look, I think the players should make a lot more money. I think apparently somebody who knows the WNBA finance really well is like, even if the players got 80% of their merch, and they got like a percentage of ticket revenue, which they actually get none of right now. But it's like, even if you give them 80% of their merch, apparently the total still goes to about only just over $1 million. And they're not. No company on the planet would willingly take a transaction in which they would lose money on each and every dollar received. It's an agreement to commit financial suicide. Thus, the proprietors would just leave. Let's now move from a straightforward comparison to the painful truth. The WNBA does not disclose its financial information. However, when all expenses are taken into consideration, the league might actually be losing money or just breaking even. According to the best estimations from sports business specialists, the only thing that has kept the ship afloat for decades is the NBA's enormous subsidies. Therefore, the players are witnessing the top-line earnings when they cite new TV deals and skyrocketing ticket sales for Caitlin Clark games. The enormous fixed costs that devour that revenue are what they aren't seeing. Tens of millions more expensive than commercial travel, charter flights are a major source of dispute. We are discussing arena leases, which are frequently funded by empty seats. We are discussing marketing and promotion for a league that is still vying for popularity. When the owners examine this, they perceive a straightforward equation. Giving the players 50% of their earnings is insufficient to meet the league's operating expenses, let alone turn a profit or enable reinvestment. It would be similar to asking a flatmate for half of the rent and then expecting them to find a way to pay the landlord the whole amount. The calculations simply don't stack up, not out of avarice, but rather due to simple maths. The league would crumble under the weight of its own assured losses. But hold on, things become even trickier. There is more to the share model's failure than just profit and loss. It concerns the true owner of the WNBA. The NBA is a single, unified organization. It owns all of its earnings. The WNBA isn't. Each franchise owner in the WNBA is a part of a complex chain of ownership. The NBA itself, which has been supporting the league for many years, and a collection of outside investors who hold portions of the league's organizational structure. This is the secret that no one discusses. In their own league, the actual WNBA clubs are comparable to minority owners. A portion of the money they make must go to these other investors in order to keep the lights on, so they don't even get to keep all of it. Therefore, the players are not only requesting a cut from the team owners when they seek 50% of the earnings. Both the NBA and foreign investors are being asked to take less. Additionally, those organizations have no reason to concur. 24 more players got to 60 instead of 44. Added 16 more players. Made 5v5 with 10 players per team. And the league becomes infinitely better, but they're so stuck on gimmick basketball that's not real basketball. But they've screwed it. I think if I was 5v5 with a lot of other players we play, I didn't get the black buys with 5v5. This is important, so let's visualize it. Consider a pie chart showing the WNBA's overall earnings. Slices of that pie are automatically set aside for the NBA, which has invested hundreds of millions in the league, before a single player receives compensation. And for companies like Nike or investment groups that purchased a portion of the Central League office, the 12 individual clubs must divide what's left over, which we'll refer to as the team revenue pie. They now have to cover the costs of their own venue, their own team personnel, and everything else. Half of the original pie is what the players are requesting. As a result, the team owners are forced to use a small portion of the funds to cover their enormous bills, a portion that will undoubtedly be less than what they require. This structure was created out of necessity. It was the only way to remove the WNBA from life support and draw in the funding required to continue. However, it is currently a prison. The team owners and the players are negotiating. However, the team owners do not have complete control over what the players desire. They would need to renegotiate long-standing agreements with the NBA and billionaire investors who are only interested in this because they haven't yet seen a return. The players at the end of the chain of command are demanding a settlement that would necessitate dismantling the league's whole financial structure. The players' union was adopting a completely different strategy while the owners were examining these spreadsheets, and their approach has been, to put it mildly, disorganized. Numerous reports of the WNBA's lack of professionalism have reached us. They are said to have leaked their own award winners out of pure animosity towards Caitlin Clark. They called for formal investigations into events that, according to all accounts, never ever occurred. After posting, they were intimidated into removing their posts from social media. This group is meant to be negotiating a future worth billions of dollars for its members. However, it raises an uncomfortable and worse question. What happens if certain union leaders don't genuinely desire a deal? What if they think the WNBA should shut down entirely? Consider it. You might be alright if you're a standout player with a spot assured and a new league like Unrivaled. You may even earn extra money. However, you lose everything if you're the player with a minimum contract, number 60 on the roster. Your professional life is over. The union appears reluctant or incapable of resolving the severe internal turmoil this causes. The silent killer in these talks is this internal conflict. Veteran athletes and celebrities with platforms, fame, and other revenue sources make up the union's leadership. They may view a lockout as a calculated risk. They are able to wait out a season. They can travel abroad to play. They can concentrate on their sponsorships and podcasts. However, what if a rookie tries to make a roster? What about the journeywoman who has battled for years to obtain health insurance and a minimum contract? A missed season is disastrous to them. They lack the savings. They lack the notoriety. Their career is not only put on hold during a lockout, it's over. Therefore, a union that adopts a strict all-or-nothing posture on a revenue share model is probably not going to succeed. For whom are they actually fighting? The group as a whole, or the top 10% of members? The disorganized social media activity and the disclosures begin to resemble symptoms of an organization lacking a cohesive front rather than a strategy. To make up for their poor negotiating position, they are attempting to win the PR war on Twitter. Additionally, they can be burning the same bridge they need to cross in order to secure a favorable arrangement for each and every player they represent. So, what did Adam Silver really have to offer? He continued to discuss absolute figures. Let's listen once more. I think you should look at in absolute numbers, he stated. They will receive a significant rise. The maximum is between 200,000 and 850,000. This is the league's best move. They are proposing enormous salary increases. The maximum pay would more than triple. The minimum wage would increase significantly, but the revenue share proportion would not change. It's brilliant from a business standpoint. Without granting the players the institutional power they are requesting, they are providing them the money they desire. We'll find efficiencies, they claim. We'll make other expense reductions. To save a few bucks, we might even cut corners on things like officiating. However, the percentage and share remain exactly where they are. However, this has been rejected by the players. They want more than simply more money. A portion of the ownership is what they desire. They want their compensation to be directly correlated with the league's success. Therefore, they naturally develop along with it if it does. Instead of charity, they desire a collaboration. Why do gamers care so much about a revenue share? It's about trust and control. When they examine the WNBA's past, they see a league that has frequently been operated as an unsuccessful public relations effort for the NBA rather than a fully autonomous sports organization. They don't think the owners will make the right investments in expansion or marketing. A revenue share is a forced collaboration in the absence of a contractual duty. Incentives are aligned.